Good morning. I'm Cecilia Dodge, she, her, and I serve on our board of directors. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies held together by covenant, not creed. Welcome to any visitors. We're so glad you're here. May you find deep welcome and belonging here in this place. Please join us after the service for a 12-minute tour and introduction. You can find Diane near the fabric wall. And please fill out a yellow guest card so that we can send you a welcome email. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box or add it to our meditation bowl before the opening hymn. Please gain consent before you put use someone's full name. The meditation bowl is in our Soul Work Center. Our pastoral care team is making themselves available after both services for anyone who needs some in-the-moment crisis care. If you're going through something challenging and need a listening ear or support, please find them in Reverend Jessica's office, which is near the Emerson alcove. Here at our church, we offer spiritual growth opportunities for our children and youth during the 11 o'clock service. And we also offer nursery care during both services. Please see Matt Thielen if you have any questions. As always, your children are also welcome to stay with you during the services. We welcome the noises and movements and joy that your little ones bring. Let's take a moment to wave to those who are attending online. Our services go 60 to 75 minutes long. If you need to leave before then, feel free. For those in the room, please join us at our social hour after the service in the social hall. And now a brief word from Reverend Jack.
It is with such a sense of excitement that I welcome back Amy Peterson from her sabbatical. Our DRE, Director of Religious Education, is back after a 6-month sabbatical, and it's so good to have you. Thank you for being back. And please welcome her back and say hello. If you haven't met her yet, if you're new, say hi to her. That's all. Thank you.
Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together, we make it a holy place. And welcome. My name is Amy. My pronouns are she, her.
Good morning. My name's Karen. My pronouns are she, her. As many of you know, or some of you don't know, I wear two hats in life that shape pretty much everything I am. I'm a teacher and I'm an extrovert. For 15 years, I've dedicated myself to the art of teaching, and my deep love of connection and conversation has only enhanced that teaching journey. Teaching isn't just what I do, it's part of who I am. Now, teaching is a profession of paradoxes. It's deeply rewarding and profoundly draining. To be an effective teacher, you must constantly hold others at the center of your thoughts. Their academic needs, yes, but also their social and emotional well-being. Did you know that teachers make about 1,500 decisions a day? That's 4 decisions a minute, most of those centered on the well-being of others. It's an astonishing number, but for someone like me, it actually feels like a gift. I find joy in this constant act of caretaking. In fact, teaching has saved me during some of the hardest days of my life. On those days, I've discovered 2 truths about the work of teaching. First, I teach 8th grade. Okay, I forgot to say that. First, it's almost impossible to dwell on your own struggles when you are guiding a room of 35 13-year-olds through nonfiction text structure. And second, when I've been vulnerable with my students, they've returned that vulnerability with remarkable empathy and honesty themselves. I'll share 2 stories. When my beloved dog of 14 years passed away last January, I showed up at school, my sadness very visible on my face. My first class of the day immediately noticed. When I shared my loss, they responded with their own stories of losing beloved pets. Together, we processed their grief, and in process, I found my own grief lessened. Another time, this year on November 6th, when I felt as though the world had spun off its axis, during first period at the end of class, a student came over to me and said, "Mrs. Hogan, I don't know if I can do this, but I am." And she slipped me a homemade Harris 2024 friendship bracelet and gave me a quick hug. While I handed her a Kleenex to dry her tears, I realized that I was also comforting myself. These moments happen innumerable times every year, and each one reminds me of the power of connection and of mutual care. In difficult times, it's really easy to retreat, to curl up with a blanket, a pint of ice cream, a good movie, and call it self-care. And let me be clear, self-care does matter. But what I've learned is that sometimes the best care for the self comes through the care of others. What if instead of retreating into self-care, we expanded the circle to include what I like to call selves-care? What if we sought out communities where we could care for and be cared for in return? I'm not suggesting you create a classroom full of 13-year-olds, though, first off, we do need subs really badly, okay? So if you do, I'd love to hear all about it, right? But What I am suggesting is that we all need communities where we can share our joys and sorrows, where we can both give and receive empathy. This morning, as we light our chalice, I dedicate it to the approximately 2,200 students that I've taught over the past 15 years. They've been my community, my joy, and my lifeline during tough times. May this light remind us all of the transformative power of connection, the healing found in community, and the beauty of caring for one another. Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join me now and rise in body and spirit for our hymn number 315, This Old World, verses 1 through 3. I believe that's in the gray hymnal.
I'm Reverend Jack, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm associate minister here, and we have a brief ritual of welcome for our DRE Amy. We are, all of us, different than we were 6 months ago. Do you remember that? June of 2024? Amy is different, and she has accrued wisdom and experience, rest and rejuvenation that will help her be fully present to her job here. She has 20 years of experience in this job, and she's returning from sabbatical. I'm sure she's coming back with questions and ideas and a renewed sense of passion. So Amy, are you willing to share that wisdom and experience with us? Are you willing to bring your fresh ideas and passion back to this job? And are you willing to pick back up the mantle of ministry as a religious educator among us?
I am, yes.
Congregation, you also are different than you were 6 months ago. Not just as individuals, although I happen to know that many of our youth are a bit taller and older than they were when Amy left. But also every congregation changes all the time. Congregations are like rivers, and the same water never passes by the same land in the same way. There are people who have moved away from here, or people who have moved on from here, or some have passed away. There are many people who have begun attending, or recently members who have come back who haven't seen Amy in years. So congregation, will you welcome Amy back with all the grace and enthusiasm you can? Will you trust her leadership with and among our children and youth? Will you also help support her in her effort to maintain our community spiritual growth program, not just for our children and youth, but also for our adults of all ages? If so, please say we will. We will. Amen. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Y'all, it is so good to be back with you all. I was really excited to get to do the story this morning for the first time in 6 months. So thank you all for being here. 6 months, it turns out, is both a really long time and no time at all. In 6 months, as Jack said, kids have grown so much. I know I've seen so many new lost teeth, kids who have gotten taller, kids who have learned to walk or learned to crawl or learned to talk in the time that I was gone. And some of you have shared that you have lost pets or loved ones or gotten new pets or had new people join your family. And yet, walking back in here, there's so much familiarity here, traditions and routines and people and joys and sorrows that feel just the same. 6 months is both forever and no time at all. So this morning, I thought I would share with you all a little bit about my time away for my story that was both forever and no time at all. But first of all, I just want to start with thank yous. It is really, really hard to express just how grateful I am for the gift of this time away to rest and reflect and to say yes to whatever crossed my path, to challenge myself, and to spend time with the people I love, especially my 2 kids who are 15 and 17. That this time away was just such a gift, truly, and I will treasure it for the rest of my life. So thank you all. I want to thank the staff who picked up pieces while I was gone, especially Matt and Mark, who I don't know if you all know this. Matt started right before I left, and Mark started while I was gone. I hired him, and I was like, good luck in September. So they leaned into it, jumped in with both feet, and just have been so amazing. So I just want to take a moment. Can we all show some gratitude for Matt and Mark? And then in the nursery, our nursery staff was led by Jenna, and she worked with Vicky and Sam and Ella and Elliot and Dana, who have been our nursery assistants, keeping our youngest safe and entertained. And of course, Jack and Jessica and Aaron and Karn and Carla and Rack and all the other staff who picked up pieces of my work while I was gone. And there was a lot of volunteers who stepped in to run things like our Third Thursday group, Conversations at the Heart of It, and other circles that met while I was gone. So thank you all so much. I have to say that stepping away for 6 months is a little daunting and a little scary, but it was made so much easier knowing that you all hold each other so well here. So thank you. I won't bore you with every detail of the last 6 months of my life. I promise you I took a very detailed journal, so it's we would never get through that in the time for stories for all ages. But the highlights are yoga training, silent retreat, lots of time with my loved ones, lots of time on the water in my kayak, which I love, lots of live music and a fair amount of dancing, and these are all things that feed my soul. And for the first time since I started my career as a religious educator 20 years ago, I stayed up late on Saturday nights. So I did lots to feed my spirit. But one of the biggest highlights for me in this time away was organizing for 3 state house candidates in the East Metro during the election cycle. So field organizers do a lot of things, including knocking on a ton of doors and talking to strangers about politics, which is kind of a strange thing to do when you think about it, and requires a little more audacity than I normally have. So this was a challenge for me. But what this meant, of course, was not just knocking on doors, but getting to receive people's stories. I got to hear a lot about what issues keep people up at night, what they think could be going better in our state and in our country. And honestly, it was an absolute honor to receive all of these stories. And I'm sure I will share more of these when I preach in January. One of the questions I've been sitting with for the last several years is, how can we build communities that support families better? And how do we help people feel a greater sense of shared responsibility to one another, to those who share our world? And I'd also been reading about and thinking about how our changing world requires us to do church a little differently than we did 60 years ago or even 10 years ago. And so I'd been reading a lot about this during my time away, all while knocking on doors and working with candidates who are hoping to make our world a better place and connecting with organizations who are in this work as well. And of course, I had you all in my heart and on my mind as well. And not surprisingly, I ran into quite a few of you doing this work, doing the work of democracy as well. So this is what I'm bringing back with me. A deeper commitment to conversation and connection as community care. A clearer understanding of just how divided we are and how lonely we are. And hopefully a little more audacity. I truly believe that building relationships, offering care, and holding fast to the vision of the world we hope to build is always the next right thing. And so I'm coming back so excited to hear your stories from all of you and think about how we can continue to build the foundation of a deeply caring intergenerational community together. And so if you weren't paying attention, what I did here this morning is what my kids call an Uno reverse. Instead of really telling you a story, I'm inviting you all to tell me a story. So I hope that you will do this. In this week's e-news, there's a link where you can find a time to come share your stories with me, or you can also send me an email or call me. We can talk about spiritual growth programming here at WBUUC for all ages if you'd like, and I especially extend this invitation to children and youth and those who are actively caring for those children and youth in our communities. But the question I'm holding with you all is this: how can we build programs here that help hold space for us all, of all ages, to rest and grow, right, ourselves and together, so that we can build a better world? So you all, I'm so happy to be back here with you all, and I cannot wait to hear your stories. Thank you.
We get the opportunity today to commission our pastoral care team. This team is made up of many sub-teams, like the outreach team, who calls people to check in when a crisis arises or when a challenging diagnosis appears. Our card ministry team writes notes of encouragement and blessing, celebrating with us our joys and commiserating with us in our sorrows. Our pastoral care companions team provides the ministry of deep listening and companionship through challenging times. Our support network tries their best to provide meals and rides to people who need them. And we also have 2 co-facilitators of our grief support group. I hope that you all get the chance to learn more about the pastoral care work we provide here, and even find your own way of giving back to this community of mutual support. The spiritual teacher Ram Dass once said, "Together we are all on a journey called life. We are a little broken and a little shattered inside. Each one of us is aspiring to make it to the end. Let's just help each other put all those pieces back together and make it to the end more beautifully. Let us help each other survive." So as I read the names of our various pastoral care team members, I invite them to join me up here in body or in spirit, those online, to receive their commissioning and blessing for the holy work they pledge to do with you and among you. Anne Galloway-Eggy, Artis Salemo, Betty Roth, Caitlin Marino, Carla Butts, Dana Jackson, Diana Smith, Diane Markell, Gloria Ferguson, Helen Duritza, J.J. Jensen, Jerry Anns, John Valine, Kathleen Keating, Kathy Kerberg, Marcy Schultz, Marcia Yans, Meredith Spector, Martin Hoyman, Mary Bolton, Mimi Kramer, Peter Nord, Reggie Baresh, Sharon Borg, Sharon Geiser, Sheila Thomas, Susan Miles, Teresa Casey Wolf, and Tiger Heiss. It's a lot of names, right? All of you on this team have agreed to care for others in various ways, to accompany them, to listen to them with open heart and mind, and to offer meals, rides, a listening ear, or simply your caring presence. Knowing that it will challenge and change you, you three here with us, have still said yes, and we are grateful. To the best of your ability, do you commit to providing compassionate and supportive presence to this congregation, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity? If so, say we do. To the best of your ability, do you commit to listening with open hearts and to maintaining the confidences entrusted to you with tenderness? To the best of your ability, do you commit to showing grace, patience, hope in times of despair, and the healing power of silence and humor? Congregation, will you please rise and read the words printed in the order of service or in the Zoom chat box? We have heard your promises to us, and we thank you for your commitment, accompanying us on our separate paths and nurturing a culture of care within our congregations. In response, we promise to support you. And as a symbol of this commissioning, I present to you these ribbons. Here you all go. Wear them under your name tag with pride so that we all know that you're part of the pastoral care team here. And take one final blessing with you. Love has no hands to bless the world but ours. Love has no feet to walk alongside another but ours. And love has no eyes to gaze with compassion but ours. So may we each embody love wherever we go, however we are able. Amen. Have a seat. Thanks, y'all. Let's take a breath here as we pause for a moment of prayer and meditation. Gathered as we are, about 120 here in this room and 36 households on Zoom. Find a comfortable seat, feel your weight supported, relax your shoulders away from your ears, and just take a breath together. We pause this morning to acknowledge the deep joys and profound sorrows that we encounter along the journey through life's forest. The branches of the trees stretch high into the sky, dancing with possibility. And the roots of the trees burrow down deep into the earth, connecting with sustenance and matter, rooted in the places where we've been and growing toward the places where we haven't yet been. We are in tension, connected both with earth and with sky. We know pain and we know hope. We have joys and sorrows, and it is important to name them out loud. What can be named can be managed. Today, our community is holding many people in love and in light. Kate O'Reilly, whose stepson is on life support, and Lauren Ashwood, whose mother passed away last weekend. Prayers for Lauren and the whole family. We also have a request here, prayers for my mom as she recovers. And now we add the names of those people who are on our hearts and in our minds. Knowing that together we can support each other, our roots are strong. Blessed be. Please remain seated for Dona Nobis Pacem, number 388 in your gray hymnal.
This round we're going to sing in 3 parts, and we're going to split up the group here to represent those 3 parts. So let's have approximately this section be group 1. You're on the line, you get to choose. And then this can be group 2. And then this section can be group 3. Or I'm also going to cut you up. Group 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start by the tune together, and then group 1 will begin. I will conduct it in group 2 and 3 accordingly. Once we're in parts, we're going to sing through it one time and then wait for our friends to finish. Are you one? And
Before we take this morning's offering, we have a few community announcements. First of all, a huge thanks to every person who made last night's auction a success. We had such a strong team of volunteers and staff, and most importantly, can we get a round of applause for Jean and Melva, our intrepid auction teachers? What an incredible evening. I believe that we met the goal of raising $8,000 for the Fund a Need. That's portable risers for the choir. And we raised somewhere around $30,000. It was a hugely successful night of raising money, having fun, and building community. Kudos to all. And the band was great, yes. And that full community continues today. We have a full building still. The bazaar will still be operating down in the Emerson alcove, and the millennial-ish group will be meeting in the Iowa Sisterhood room. The Membership 1 class is happening in the Wheatley room. Please see Reverend Jack if you're interested to attend. We're still looking for a few good volunteers to help support the No Rehearsal Christmas pageant taking place on Sunday, December 22nd. If that's you, please attend a brief meeting following both services in the music director's office. This Wednesday, please join us for our Wednesday night dinner and programming. Dinner is at 5:30, followed by a special forum at 6:30, from our very own Jillian Lampert, representing the Emily program, where she serves as VP of Communications. The program is called Truly Healthy Eating. It Might Not Be What You Think. And then on Thursday morning, join Reverend Jessica in her monthly book club, where she'll be discussing the book, The Mushroom at the End of the World. And next Sunday, get ready for a special service that will keep you on your toes. Stay tuned for more. Twice a month, our Sunday morning offering goes out our doors to support a local nonprofit organization doing the work of justice and care in our community. And on the other Sundays, the offering stays right here to serve and support the mission and vision of this congregation. What a privilege it is to be part of a generous congregation. To give to this morning's offering, you can donate in the baskets as they are passed around, or you can donate on the website, send a check, or use the text to give feature. The instructions are in the order of service and in the Zoom chat box. However you give, thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Thank you, choir. We have three short readings today. The first is from Reverend Cecilia Kingman. The great Unitarian theologian and ethicist James Luther Adams said often that in order for goodness to triumph, it must be institutionalized. If we are to make changes in the world to create a just society, we must organize ourselves. We must lend our voices to the cause of mercy and peace. We must use all our resources, our energy, our time, and our money to create that society. The second reading is from Leo Tolstoy. The whole trouble is that people think there are circumstances when one may deal with human beings without love, but no such circumstances ever exist. And the third reading is a haiku from Sonia Sanchez that I'll read twice. Let me wear the day well, so when it reaches you, you will enjoy it. Let me wear the day well, so when it reaches you, you will enjoy it.
I know this will come as a shock to none of you, but we live in a very individualistic culture. There are most definitely pros and cons with a culture like ours. In many ways, this individualism has led to a healthy understanding of our humanism, where our individual agency is needed to make the world a better place. One of my theological Unitarian heroes is Theodore Parker. He lived and preached in the 1800s. While many of his colleagues were advocating for the gradual abolition of slavery, he was a fiery and ardent proponent of immediate abolition. He also coined the phrase about the moral arc of the universe bending towards justice, which Martin Luther King Jr. repeated 100 years later. MLK had studied Theodore Parker, and he was inspired by him also. And since that time, there have been many theologians that have added a nuanced understanding that we might be the ones that are needed to help bend that arc toward justice. Another benefit to this individualism is a recent trend toward self-care. In numerous ways, many of us have been taught to put others' needs over our own, and this practice has led to the neglect of some of our own basic needs: physical, spiritual, emotional. This recent emphasis on self-care is a welcome antidote to the ways that some of us have been taught to deprioritize our own needs, especially those enculturated as women. And at the same time, this emphasis on self-care has occasionally gone too far, into bouts of lulling oneself into ignorance or blissful comfort, at the expense of staying engaged with our world and its problems. There's also been an understanding that we have to put on our own oxygen mask before we can help our neighbor, right? This is true, but our emphasis on self-care doesn't always go from step 1 to step 2. Sometimes we just put on our own proverbial mask and then breathe easy. But one reminder that we might need is that a primary reason that we care for ourselves is so that we can also then care for others. To create that type of communal society, we must organize ourselves, as James Luther Adams said. We must use all our resources, our energy, our time, and our money to create that society. The way that a community cares for its members tells you a lot about who they are. At our best, I have seen the people in this community take incredible care of each other. And that is no easy task. We are living in a society where isolation and loneliness are two of our primary sicknesses, and some of our beloveds are even dying from them. How do we combat this loneliness? How do we notice it? How do we fight the urge to isolate? Just last week, Reverend Karen Hutt joked that humanism is really easy until you introduce another human into the mix. Right? Then it gets harder. Sometimes we believe the lie that things will be easier if we go it alone. Then others won't let us down. But also, if we choose that route, we miss out on all the connection, love, community, and warmth that is possible. One of my absolute favorite musicals, Next to Normal, has an amazing quote in its final song. Sometimes I listen to it when I am sad and need a boost, especially when the winter blues are at risk of settling in as they were a few weeks ago with that overcast weather. Here's the quote. "Give me clouds and rain and gray. Give me pain if that's what's real. It's the price we pay to feel. The price of love is loss, but still we pay. We love anyway." Building a deep and abiding sense of community is no different. There will be times that we will let people down. We might be let down, or even hurt the people around us. That is the cost of living and being in covenant with other human beings. But I hope that we choose to love anyway, to commune with one another, despite the potential risks of being let down and letting others down. Our church is the co-sponsor, along with First Universalist in Minneapolis and Unity in St. Paul, of a workshop happening this winter led by Reverend Karen Hutt It is a workshop that is focused on community care, congregational spiritual care. And what an important time it is right now, right? To prioritize this sense of selves-care. All of us give and receive care from time to time, and the controversial thing that Karen will be arguing in the workshops and teaching us is that caregiving and care receiving is actually a learned skill. We can practice it. We can get better at it. We can study it. We can grow in the ways that we care for each other and let ourselves be cared for. It's a 2-session workshop, and each session is 4 hours long and includes lunch. I hope some of you will consider it. Even if you haven't ever officially been part of a pastoral care team here, maybe it'll be a little entree into what that could be. You might have an interest to join a team after the workshops or contribute in some small way to that sense of mutual support and care happening right here in our community. Mark your calendars, January 25th and February 15th, and you can stay tuned for more details. There will be moments in your near future, in your further away future maybe, where you will need to prioritize some moments of self-care. And I hope that you do that joyfully. And I also hope you remember the practice of selves-care. I hope you remember the idea that once you feel cared for, you can care for others. And that communal sense of care is what we do here at church. Or as Sonia Sanchez puts it, let me wear the day well, so when it reaches you, you will enjoy it. I hope you are curious about how you can grow some skills in the areas of caregiving and care receiving, and I hope you'll join in this work. May it be so, and make it so. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our final hymn, Building Bridges, number 1023 in the teal hymnal.
Building Bridges is another round. What a treat. So choir, there are 4 parts this time, so let's be SATB 1 through 4. And let's be slightly different groups this time. This will be group 1. This will be group 2, 3, and 4 over here. I'll sing it to start your group every time, but let's start by singing the entire melody together. 2, here we go. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I'm building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, will you make such sweet harmony? 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 Friends, will you make such sweet harmony?
Sweet harmony. In this place, may we continue the practice of communal presence. May we lean on each other, which involves both leaning and being leaned on. May we learn how to give and receive love and support in this covenantal community. And when we get it wrong, because we are human, and we will, may we have grace with each other, may we extend forgiveness, and may we have the courage and tenacity to begin again in love. Go in peace and go in community. Amen.